What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Career Retrospective. Today, we don't have Nate as he's dealing with personal matters, but I assure you, I have gathered the Avengers for this movie Career Retrospective. I am joined today by Metal Mike, Ginger Ninja, Trey, and Northland's very own Rusty Blackwell.
In the Black Eyed Dog, he's actually featured in the music video. So, that was the fun fact about his music industry. Mike, go ahead and lead us into our topic, sir.
So the first question I have on the list here is, how did Heath Ledger's career in acting begin? That is the first question that I have on the list here. I believe we covered that already.
Yeah.
Career started. Second one is what were some of Heath Ledger's most notable roles in film?
Okay. So we'll go Rusty and then Trey and then myself. We'll go reverse order.
All right. So I'm going to come out and say A Knight's Tale is hands down one of my favorite movies. Not just in this context, but in like all films. I know that's like, so some people are like, really, it's not like a big movie. It's not like a blockbuster. It's not like winning a whole bunch of awards. It has like kind of a campy vibe to it because there's all these like contemporary songs put throughout this weird medieval movie that's just about jousting. But the character work that the story follows, where you have this poor squire who abruptly basically like puts on his knight's armor because his knight has drank and shit himself to death. And he abruptly steps in to take his place because it's the only way for the other squires and him to not starve to death. And he secretly becomes this knight. And over the course of the movie, it's almost like a weird like Disney athletics film, like those weird movies where you have like the underdog team that like somehow makes it into the win the cup kind of nonsense. Like it's like that, but it's for knights. And it's ridiculous as fucking hell. But all the character work that the actors do, like especially, rallying around Heath Ledger and Heath Ledger kind of holding that space. It's in my top 10 movies, like as a permanent list. And I'm just going to start off by saying that I'm so lucky I got to talk first because I know somebody else is going to say something about that too. So anyway, I'll pass it off to you guys and let you keep going.
Trey, go ahead.
All right, so my favorite movie. There was a couple. The Patriot was really good with him. He did really well, but it's gonna be obvious. I'm a huge Batman fan. I love Batman till this day. Huge fan, and when I see this young character, because he, how old was he at the time when he played the Joker? He's still in his 20s. To craft that, because Jack Nicholson was a lot older, wasn't he? When he was Joker.
Oh yeah,
he was a lot older at the time.
Ledger was 28 at the time of the Dark Knight filming.
Yeah, so I'm saying is, I was just so captivated because I was like, man, this guy. I've heard of him, but I'm like, this guy's gonna play Joker? No way. Like honestly, was kind of hesitant on it, but he honestly blew me away, honestly, and I just loved him on Dark Knight. I loved him in Patriot, but it's obvious Batman's my favorite.
Fair enough. For me, I'm a big Joker guy, but my favorite role of his is when he played in I'm Not There, the biopic of Bob Dylan.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That is mine.
I could kiss you right now, Shadow.
He did a really good job in that. He played two different characters in that. He was Robbie Clark and Bob Dylan. So.
Also played alongside of Christian Bale before Batman.
Just to throw it out for Trey, Jack Nicholson was 52 in 1989 when he played the Joker.
Fuck,
holy shit, he's old. He's still going.
Big perspective.
Holy fuck.
This might shock a lot of people, but one of my favorite all-time Heath Ledger roles was Lords of Dogtown. Like he had
yeah,
that
yeah,
serious part of it, but he was still a goofball.
yeah, he was skipping that one.
Yeah, he was Skips. I forgot his
Yeah.
dude's last name, but just the way, like, going from you watch The Patriot and you watch all these other movies, and when he came into Lords of Dogtown, I actually didn't notice it was Heath until the second time I watched it.
Yeah, he was doing really good in 2005. 4 movies in that year.
He came out like with a bang, and he was just the cool skater surfer dude, which I felt like, being from like Australia, he kind of fit right into that slot.
Yep.
And like that got me on the train of, now I got to know now I want to know more movies he's been in.
Mr. Mike.
I mean, for the very few films that I've seen of his, my favorite is definitely The Patriot. I mean, it was a toss-up between Knight's Tale and Patriot, but Patriot was definitely my favorite out of the two.
Fair enough.
So the next question up here is how did Heath Ledger approach his role as the Joker in The Dark Knight?
So you'll start this one. We'll go back.
You want me to
Oh,
start?
I mean, I haven't seen The Dark Knight.
Okay, so we'll skip to Jax.
Yeah.
In the research the extracurricular research that I have done preparing for tonight, he took that role he locked himself in a room for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Like, and then like he would walk down the streets of New York trying to come up with different ticks and the way the Joker should walk and how he should stand when he's standing still. Like, he dived into every role 110%.
He definitely wanted to portray the Joker in the most sinister possible way. And, excuse me, he wanted audiences to be mesmerized by the production of work he was going to do in this film. I think even if he was still alive, this movie wouldn't touch anything he would do in present day. Like, I can't say that for sure, but we only have so much body of work that he's done. But if we had brought him in, if he would have kept going and stayed alive, and I don't know if he'd ever top the Joker role, because even Nicholson for the longest time could not top his Joker role.
Yeah. It takes a special man to play the Joker.
It really does.
Like, all of them have just been...
We've never seen another Penguin, so obviously Danny DeVito just killed it.
Well, we had that show Gotham.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm just saying.
Trey.
I mean, not to repeat myself, but I mean, to get into that mindset, you know, like we said with Jim Carrey, Man of the Moon, and you know other actors who had to get into that some sort of mindset to become that character. You know, you have to like I say, I mean, he tried his best to perfect it. I mean, like you said, I don't think no one could have that. You know, could have a perfect role, but I mean, I think, my opinion, it's almost there. And I mean, he just took that and rolled with it for his age. I mean, we just found out how old freaking Jack was. This guy was barely in his early 20s, still, you know, late 20s, starting to learn still in his prime of his career. And who knew if he was still alive today? I mean, he could have still played that that same Joker, the recent Joker movie we had recently. But yeah, I mean, he did his best. I want to say maybe, I mean, I can't say perfect, but like 9 out of 10.
Fair enough. Go ahead, Rusty.
Well, I mean, like I was reading about like like villains and people that play villains, and I came across this like interview. It is really strange. Like I've been watching like Fantasy Island from the 70s recently, and Ricardo Montalban, who played like Khan in Star Trek, had this interview where he was talking about like the motivation of villains and how there is no villain, there's no evil character in a movie who is doing it to be evil. they always are coming at it from this perspective where they feel like they know exactly why they're doing what they're doing, and there's no, it's not like this incarnate evil. It's always motivated, and most villains actually believe they're in the right and doing the right thing. And I when I watch The Dark Knight, I think about that. I think about like Heath Ledger's character playing the Joker makes complete sense to Heath Ledger. Like, I don't believe that he thinks he's pretending to be silly or something. I think it's actually like laid out in a very, very well crafted manner, where, you know, you get to this whole idea of like being the counterpoint to Batman, which I think in the comic books is the reason why the Joker and Batman are kind of the icons of DC Comics, is that, you know, they're these polar opposites, but they're also almost identical, except for, you know, very minimal ways where, you know, Batman doesn't use guns and shoot people, and the Joker just takes things further, right? But like that idea of preparing for it, like I think everything, if you look at the just the different films in general, they felt like they're all leading to this kind of role. And that idea of I almost wonder where it would have went from there, because, you know, you could take it in so many different directions, like his career, where like after playing the Joker, what could he take everything that he's learned from that experience and apply it to something else. So really interesting. Yeah.
Another note though too is Ledger's never played the same kind of role twice.
Never.
Ever. He was lucky for him, especially being as young as he is from a foreign country. He never got typecast, which is huge, especially for young actors. I mean, we've seen it come and go with a lot of them, but he has never played the same kind of character twice. So.
And, you know, just to note too, you know, when he passed, you know, they were giving out the awards of, you know, and I forgot which award ceremony it was, but when he passed, I think he got the, you know, the award, and just seeing all his peers, you know, fellow actors and actresses giving him a standing ovation in tears, to just show that, you know, that tribute. You know, this young man had showed us so much, but he had more to give. But, you know, sadly, what happened to him?
Right. Alrighty, Mikey. He got Best Supporting Actor, by the way, Trey.
Yeah, there we go.
So the next question is what impact did Heath Ledger's portrayal of the Joker have on his career and the film industry?
I mean, my opinion, but we'll start with Rusty because we're going in an order here.
Oh my gosh. On the film industry in general, there's a part of me that wants I wasn't sure how much everybody on this show was going to be obsessed with the Joker in general in life, like how much all of you were going to be obsessed. And I was going to be like, we should all do a round of just being like, you want to know how I got these scars? You want to know how I got these scars? And it's like I just thought, I'm like, if I said that enough, everybody in the whole call would be like, you want to know how I got these scars? You know, and it's like, there's just so like I don't know how from an insider's perspective, I don't know how much it impacted Hollywood, but I do know that he's probably the most iconic Joker, and it might be forever. He's probably the most often going to be played. You know, like that's the Joker that people are going to dress up for as Halloween and go to a college frat party and then be like, you want to know how I got these scars? So like every freaking person they know. I really do think that the third Batman film that came out after The Dark Knight had followed the lead of that dark kind of portrayal. I mean, obviously the first one had aspects of that, but I mean, you know, not that I'm complaining, but I don't think it was the same at all. The Joker in Nolan's you know, second film like brought that movie to a point of like grittiness that I think that, you know, like Batman movies in general have just tried their best to stay within that at that level of kind of like horrifying and kind of dark, and like taking to those places, like having like a bomb sewn into somebody's abdomen to get somebody out of prison, or we're gonna murder a town, as opposed to kidnapping the president's daughter or something. Like, it's gonna be these intensities. So I think that film paved the way for that. Maybe I'll leave it there, and I feel like I went all over the place a little bit, so I'll let other people talk.
You're fine. Go ahead, Trey.
Well, what Rusty was saying, not, I don't know, I can't speak for Hollywood. I mean, I don't think anyone can speak for Hollywood. But
If you do, you might end up somewhere else. But anyways, continue.
yeah, let's not go there. I might disappear right now. But when I think of Joker these days, when I think that the image, we see the picture, and about the scars, and I think of of his character. I think there's been so many Jokers that has been played over the years, and it's just, when I think of Joker, I think of the Heath Ledger, how he played that, and like you said, going to I remember when it came out, going to parties, like Halloween parties. I don't know how many Jokers of that character, of that era. Like, I don't know how many people dressed up like that. Like, many. I mean, I dressed like for Batman, for crying out loud. Not a very good Batman, but I tried my best.
Yeah, you're a fat man. It's fine.
Yeah, but overall, I mean, he brought a whole new generation of people to, a whole new Joker, and that was well done.
For sure. To Rusty's scar thing, I used to have his laugh almost down to a science, and can't do it anymore. But I did. I truly believe that he leaves a legacy within the method acting world of what not to, like, maybe if you're on prescription meds and stuff, maybe not bring them to, if you're trying to indulge in these roles and get as deep as you can, maybe not bring these prescriptions with you unless absolutely needed. I'm sure that there's a lot of cautionary tales that a lot of method actors have now taken because of Ledger and others that have passed. For me, like, he's the Joker. He's the Knight. You know what I mean? That's just how I see it. A close second, and not to discredit Nicholson at all, but Joaquin Phoenix, his Joker, obviously it's a different portrayal, is really good, and I love it. But Heath Ledger is still the Joker. He, across all carnations of it, the worst Joker is Leto.
Yeah.
Sorry, but that tale could have been so much told differently. But go ahead, Jax.
The question was his portrayal of Joker, the effects it had on Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
His portrayal of Joker not only had effect transition other than Jared Leto, and I forgot the other guy's name already. But you look back at when The Dark Knight came out, they didn't just change, like, he changed the Joker all around, for the comic books to the video games to the TV shows. Like, at that point, it had to be a Joker with scars up his cheeks. And it, like, his portrayal of the Joker, I think, revolutionized the character of the Joker in all aspects.
Right.
All right, so on to the next one. How did Heath Ledger's personal life and relationships influence his career?
I know he loved being a father.
Repeat that again, sir.
How did Heath Ledger's personal life and relationships influence his career?
Ooh, that's a loaded question and a half, isn't it? Go ahead, Jax. Start us off.
I mean, I know he loved his daughter, and I know him and Michelle Williams had a very good thing going. But Heath Ledger was a very like private guy. Like tried to be as private as he could. So I don't really like Shadow said. It's like a loaded question. I really don't know a lot about his personal life.
There isn't much to his personal life that we've ever really learned. Even what is it? How many years has he been gone now? Over 10.
Yeah, over 10.
Since 2008, so
16 years, give or take. Yeah, 16 years.
years.
16 years, actually. I think the 22nd marks 16 years. Yeah. 22nd of this month marks. So Monday, he's been gone 16 years.
Monday will be 16.
I knew that he like. I don't know. I wrote these questions and I don't even know the answer to this. Just hoping one of you guys would. I knew he was a chess player. But like Jack said, he's a very proud father, and his relationships were very private too. He wasn't much in the tabloids very much, which is a good sign typically. I know that after him and Williams broke up, he dated a couple supermodels, but I mean, a young guy on benders is what happens. Go ahead, Trey.
I think didn't he date one of the Olsen twins, or was he friends? I think Mary Kate or Ashley. I don't know. That's what I heard. But
I'm not gonna tell you.
I know he was he had a daughter. I mean, like Jack. I don't know enough for his personal life. I mean, I was more into his movies. I didn't really get deep into his personal life like that, so I can't really comment, and I don't want to speculate. So I honestly don't know either.
So I'm sorry for cutting you off. He had relationships with Lisa Zane, Heather Graham, Naomi Watts, Christina Couchy, Michelle Williams. So he's had a couple of relationships with a few people.
Right. Rusty?
Well, I was thinking about how like I feel like I'm in the same boat. It's not like I know Heath Ledger personally or did know him 16 years ago, but I mean I can't imagine working this hard. Like probably the lack of like personal life is that I feel like he's probably a workaholic and probably put in a lot of time towards being an actor, which sadly it's part of the reason why his death at such a young age is tragic, is that he didn't get to do all the awesome stuff of life. I also think that like as much as there's not a lot of tabloid stuff about his life, there is like a lot of stuff where speculation kind of comes up now, and I think that like as an example, like that whole thing about the Dark Knight being like that the hospital explosion where everyone said that there was that myth that came out about him like improvising the explosion and how like he was actually controlling it and it didn't work and all this stuff, and then later on you find out no, that entire scene was scripted that way, it wasn't improvised, like that's all just a myth. And it's this idea of like in the absence of having things, everyone really constructs stuff and wants there to be more and wants that story to be more. And Matilda, his daughter, I feel like she's still pretty well, she's not that young now, but like for part of the reason why you never hear about stuff is that she was a child for like she's probably like what 20 or something now, but
Not very old.
no, but
He's 19.
I feel like we're gonna people are gonna push and they're gonna keep asking and keep asking and keep asking, and all of a sudden all the home life stuff we'll end up seeing something eventually come out about it. But like showing him like home videos of him playing with his daughter or just photos or whatever, but like this is what the media does, right? And I feel like the only reason why we don't have that sooner is that maybe they were holding off until his daughter was old enough to actually be able to consent to talking about these things. So,
I mean, it's in 2017. They also released a biopic on him called "I Am Heath Ledger," right? So that kind of fed everybody what they wanted, without feeding everybody what they wanted.
yeah.
To Trey's point, he asked to marry Kate or Ashley. It was Mary Kate. They never dated. It was rumored that Mary Kate gave him the drugs that killed him. Was later proven in court that it had nothing to do with it, but that was where that comes from.
Got it.
Mikey.
So on to the next one. What were some challenges or difficulties Heath Ledger faced during his career?
Drug addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Massively.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll just start off like he was an insomniac, right? So he was taking anything and anything to get sleep.
Yeah.
Other than that, there was also in the tabloids that now this seems ridiculous, but back then it probably wasn't, but 5 joints a day for 20 years is what he would smoke. That's just fucking Jax's month.
Yeah. Well, hold on. No, I can do 5 in 2 days. Like, once you get so high, you're just like, I'm done with it. Like, paranoia is real on the ganja.
I think most of it was really just his drug habits, because he wasn't. I mean, as far as I've read and what I know, he wasn't abusive towards anybody. He was a normal person who had problems sleeping and tried everything and anything he could to sleep, and unfortunately, it just led to an addiction.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an open table here. You guys can cut in. We're not.
Well, I mean, there's not really much to say. I mean, I never heard anything bad on the tabloids. Just you brought it up, his drug addiction, and I mean, we've seen it all with other actors and actresses, with drug addiction. It's just, and we've seen, in a personal level, I've seen it too. It's like it's just a hard road that he went through, and sadly, he took a little bit too many and accidentally took himself out. And, it's really don't know really what to say in that perspective. Just damn,
Yeah.
I mean, doing my research for the show, I couldn't even and I went back and looked up interviews when he was still alive. There really wasn't that many negative things to say about him.
I mean, he did get a lot of hate when Brokeback Mountain came out because he misspoke.
Yeah.
About some Mormons in Utah or something, but
and Mormons.
Rusty, what do you got for us on this one?
So, like the thing is, like he had broken up with Williams, and like everybody, no one wants to talk about depression and really like get into that, but like the prescription drugs that he died from an overdose were oxycodone, hydrocodone, diazepam, temazepam, alprazolam. I'm not sure what that is, and dioxazine. So it's like six different prescriptions.
It was a cocktail, yeah.
But it's a lot of which are specifically address depression. Part of it's not. So this is not about him being necessarily clinically depressed as much as he is struggling with being away from his ex, but also his daughter, and having to deal with that. So this idea of like not being able to sleep, missing family, dwelling on that anxiety, I just feel like those are challenges on their own. But like again, like the work schedule of working on these films, like I don't want to talk about like film sets in a negative way, but because I do some acting, and I think it's great, but there is like this whole level of like the relationships on those sets are the phoniest relationships I've ever seen in the whole world. The people you talk to are like, they're so nice, and then they don't remember your name 5 seconds later. It's bizarre. and it really creates like this sense of like the second you walk off the set, those relationships all just ended. So it has this feeling of like you go and you're there and you're on set and there's hundreds of people all being polite and nice and doing anything you want and giving you things, getting you coffee, doing whatever. And then you walk off the set and all of those voices stop like immediately and you're just completely alone. And it's strange.
I don't mean to cut you off there,
Yep.
but I think a prime example of that is Matthew Perry. He has said and gone on record many times over the years that, you know, everybody else in Friends says, "Oh, we're in contact." He says, "When? Nobody calls me." You know, no. I mean, that's a prime example of basically what you're describing. To touch on the drugs that you brought up, they're still not quite sure how he got the hydrocodone and oxycodone. But a forensic pathologist has said that if without those two, he'd probably still be alive today.
The only person from everything I've looked at and read and listened to and watched, the only actor that he had any true bond with was Jake Gyllenhaal.
Ironic, isn't it?
Those were the two. That was the one person that, I mean, he's Matilda's godfather.
Right.
Like they stayed that's the only one I could ever remember hearing him say that they stayed very close after filming ended.
And it's weird considering the movie they started together.
Yeah.
But I mean, a movie like that will bring anybody close, right? Take that as you will, but I'm not meaning it that way, people.
Yeah.
He really did break Jake Gyllenhaal's nose on the set, though, so that was pretty cool to find out.
That's great.
Like they told him, like, get drunk. You can get drunk on this movie set. Get drunk. And so when he came back and reared back and punched him, he really broke Jake Gyllenhaal's nose. That's awesome.
That's great. All right, Mikey, what's our next topic?
So we actually only have one more left on the list. So I actually did come up with a question of my own for you guys, seeing that I really haven't spoke too much tonight because, again, I've only seen very few of Heath Ledger's movies. I know very little about him since I'm pretty much doing the questioning here. I came up with a question for you guys. So if Heath Ledger was here with us today, he would be 40. He would be turning 45 or 44. Okay.
One month younger than I am. 1 month.
Yes. So with how big and impactful the film industry is today, do you feel like Heath would still make a major significant impact on the film industry today if he was with us?
Yes and no. Yes, because he was a huge method actor and he lived the part he wanted to be. No, because I think after Dark Knight came out, I think he would have went back to private life for a very long time, given the fact that that role was so deep and dark.
I think he would have. I don't know, because the one thing we haven't touched on is he owned a music studio also.
Right.
And it was actually in the basement or right near his house, but he didn't want people to know like where it was, kind of thing. I don't know if he would still be involved some way if it was like he would either been still acting in select roles that he wanted to pick, but I think if he'd still be with us today, we would probably get more of a indie directorial from him, because he was very like he wanted to make movies, not necessarily star in movies.
Right.
Like the Queen's Gambit, he read, like it was one of the last books that from last interview before he went off to film the Imaginary of Dr. Parnassus. And he says, I'd love to make the movie. I can relate to this book. I want to make this movie. So I think we would have had more of a directorial and select roles in movies if he was still here with us.
Probably, yeah. I never thought of it from that way.
Yeah. I agree with Shadow's aspect. Uh, I think he would have probably. I think he would have gone back to acting, but I honestly think he would have took a long break because I mean, that mentality of being Joker, really screw you up in the head, and I think he'd be there with his daughter and spending time with his family, and but I think eventually he would get back in the spotlight, or maybe to work on backstage, maybe directing or whatnot. I don't know, but you always think about all these actors or these musicians, and you're like, man, if they didn't pass away so young, where would they be today? That goes with wrestlers too, and so I don't know.
I mean, that goes like that. That subject is, and I don't mean to take away from Mike or Rusty here before they speak, but we look at musicians, we look at actors, actresses, wrestlers, directors, sports athletes. Had they not died when they did, where are they now? And I mean, you can gap your kind of imagination over the next X amount of years and kind of try to fill in your own thing. But nobody knows for sure. We can only go off what we have and try to bring it forward and see if it matches up in today's world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the idea that I think he would have moved into directing. I think he would have taken on challenging projects or tried to take on challenging projects, and you'd see him in talk shows arguing about something, and probably like he was an environmental activist. He cared about things. There's stuff where I think about how he would have taken on causes and done stuff, and the reason why I think that is I don't know why I thought of this, but I really like Kiefer Sutherland, but I've never watched the show 24
Neither
at
do I.
all. But I've seen commercials for it, and it looks like a stereotypical television action drama, right? Like someone picks up the phone and they're like, "What do you mean the president?" And then it's like a zoom in fast, and then it shows people running around with guns, and you're just kind of like, it looks like generic television. And I really like Kiefer Sutherland, but I don't think the show 24 is what I like Kiefer Sutherland for. And I look at that and I say, would Heath Ledger, given another 20 years of life, just done shows like this where he's just like taking a check and showing up to work? And I'm like, because we don't get to find out, I'm going to say no, right? Just because we don't, there's no way to prove that would have happened. But I'd like to believe in the illusion of him maintaining integrity and working really hard towards things and taking that launch point that only goes up, and how far it just keeps going up, because we have no reason to ever believe it goes down, right? So I'm going to stay with that optimism.
So to that point, what you're saying is he wouldn't have Charlie Sheened it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because Charlie Sheen always said, "I'll never do television." Then he cut 10 years of 2.5 Men.
Yeah, but no one wanted to work with him either.
Yeah.
Well, that's my point, right? Like, I don't think Ledger would have brought himself down to that. I think if he would have said something like that, he would have stuck to that, because he also had the studio to produce music and other things. Like, he could have ventured into other worlds, and he probably would have succeeded in it. I mean, he did fairly well with what he did too.
Yeah.
So, real quick, again, I know I haven't spoke too much, but with what I've seen of his work, when we watch a movie or a TV show, or nowadays anything you see like short videos of stuff on the internet, you see things and you always say, I think this actor or actress would have fit great in this movie or TV show or anything like that. And looking back on some movies that have come out the past couple years and knowing a little bit about what he has done, I kind of think about, like, I think he would have fit certain roles, or he would have fit in the movie because of the story, if that makes sense.
That does actually.
He'd have
Like-
made a great Wonka.
Ooh.
Ooh.
The way he dived in, just to picture it. Now picture it.
Oh, I'm listening.
The
Mhm.
way he dived into the roles that he got. Like he had some, like, we'll use A Knight's Tale, where it was comedical but serious at the same time. I could just see him being like Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
Long hair, a
100%.
little bit out there, but still portraying a good character.
Yeah,
I just want to say Johnny Depp as Willy Wonka was terrible. That was
Yeah.
like the most shallow performance. I've seen interviews where he talks about what he was going for, and I get it, but I'm also like, the existing film that was already out with Gene Wilder, like Gene brought it to these beautiful dark places, tried so hard to just be completely in the moment and immersed, and I'm like, to imagine, like, and this is similar to like the Imaginarium of film, and how, like, I know that he passed, Heath dies, and all of a sudden they have a movie that isn't finished, and they've got to come up with how to finish it, and people are like, well, his friends will help him finish it, and I'm like, I don't know how much he knew a lot of the people that played his character, or how much it was more like just people who happened to be major Hollywood celebrities in LA at the time period this took place. I'm not interested in speculating on that, but I will say that it did, like, it was fine. The movie got finished. That's great. I'm glad that they have conclusion with it, but I wouldn't put Johnny Depp and Heath Ledger on the same page. Not today anyway. That's, to me, I feel like they he not to complain about Depp, but again, I'm like, that Willy Wonka movie that Tim Burton made was trash.
I got one. How about Heath? How about Heath and Beetlejuice?
That'd been well. I think that one would have felt a little bit too close to like a Joker reenactment.
Little bit.
But
But
yeah.
I like where you're going with it.
Yeah.
I love this comment about him being David Von Erich in the chat.
Yes, that would have been.
Oh man.
So what I'm thinking of, I actually have two. Guys, remember the movie Baby Driver?
Yeah.
I think he would have done good in that. I don't know what the role he would be in, but I think that movie kind of fits the lifestyle of what he does in movies. And another one I had, and hear me out. I understand that it's Keanu Reeves. John Wick.
I could see that. I could see him maybe
Yeah.
portraying it like a badass action star.
So I watched the movie the other night, and now that I'm thinking about what I've seen of him, he would have fit. I think he would have fit in this movie because it was a war movie, but they made it out to be almost like a comedy in a sense. I don't know if you guys ever seen the movie Inglourious Bastards.
Yes.
Yeah. You've seen Inglourious Bastards but haven't seen Batman?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
I gotta use this wording. I gotta use this wording specifically for Mike. Honorable mention, but for the chicks that like Heath Ledger, I think he would have fit right into The Fault in Our Stars. Just based on, you know what I mean, like what he's done, like 10 Things I Hate About You, all that, right? Yeah. So The Fault in Our Stars would be a good one for him too.
Well, there's also, like, if you start to think about the amount of Australian talent that has started getting mainstream like, attention and being able to hold space and direct, like Taika Waititi's like films, like him getting entrance into like the Marvel movies, and Chris Hemsworth becoming like Thor, that whole like level. But then you start to think of like how because they're holding space in that way, there's also things like watching, people playing like smaller roles in mainstream films, like when somebody goes on the set of Mandalorian and they get to just be themselves as some space person. There's a lot of stuff that I can imagine Heath being able to just be present in, and not necessarily, like how awesome that would have been. And there's a lot.
Here's another one. 50 Shades of Grey.
Never seen it, so I don't know. I'm not gonna watch it.
It's dirty.
I mean, realistically, from a woman's standpoint, Heath Ledger was aesthetically good to look at.
Yeah, the new Mad Max movie, and just take Heath's shirt off. Absolutely. I mean, that's what they're going to do with Chris Hemsworth in the new movie. So
Yeah,
sure.
much. That's all you got to do with him.
Okay, shits and giggles here. Any movie you want, doesn't matter. Who would you replace as the star actor just to put him in? It doesn't have to be serious. It can be any type of movie.
Ooh.
So this was kind of brought up in the discussion with Chris Hemsworth, but for some odd reason, if Chris wouldn't have played as him, I could have possibly seen him playing as Thor. I could have.
Yeah, like bulk up. I mean,
Yeah.
Hemsworth had to do that. I mean, he wasn't huge like he is now before that role.
He took that role from his brother, by the way. He robbed his brother of that role.
So,
just thought I'd throw that out there.
Just because I'd like to see it in this, either 21 or 22 Jump Street.
Oh, that's great. that's a good call.
Now the question for that though is, do you keep
You put Jonah Hill in him, not you take out. You don't need two good-looking bastards. No, get the fuck out of here.
No. My question. What I was going with this was, we seen Johnny Depp in that movie. Would you put him as Johnny Depp's partner that shows up when they show up in the movie?
Oh, that'd be hilarious, actually.
I'm
Have
like
all four in there.
Now that we're on a Channing Tatum thing, I'm like, yeah, I can imagine Heath Ledger being in all the Magic Mike movies. And
Magic Mike. Okay.
Yeah, I
was thinking that.
Which I did not. I went. My daughters wanted to watch it. They're like in their 20s and teenagers, and I'm like, sure, we'll watch that. And I watched the first movie, and I was like expecting it to just be like this weird stripper movie, which it is.
Yeah,
but
you're just excited to see Kevin Nash naked. It's fine.
Absolutely. but more importantly, I was extremely surprised that it actually had a story that made sense, and it was a real gritty.
It was a decent movie.
The first film is like depressing. It's about poverty. It's really hard hitting, and then it ends, and it had an ending that I was really not expecting, because it just kind of happens and then it's over, and I was like, and I sat there, I'm like, wait, did I just like the movie Magic Mike? And I'm gonna recommend my friends to watch it. What is happening right now?
So I have one more, and then I'm done listing off movies, but this one just came to me because of the star-studded lineup that there is. Take out DiCaprio and put in Ledger, Wolf on Wall Street.
Yeah.
Remember, he plays different roles. So I'd like to see where he took that hedge fund mastermind shit and went with it.
I got one. And this goes back to knowing how deep Heath Ledger dives into roles. The Crow.
That, yeah, I can see that.
Like nothing against Brandon Lee, man. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. Like, it's perfectly made. Please never remake that movie. Certain movies should never be remade. Back to the Future and The fucking Crow should never be remade. But if Heath Ledger was acting at the time, but wasn't as old, like we didn't know of him. But I think he would have made a great Eric Draven as the Crow.
I don't know, for the giggles, how about The Hangover?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I can see that too.
That'd be great.
If they would have, I don't know how far you guys have gotten with the Fast and the Furious
No.
movies. I know we've
No.
gotten.
No.
Hold
No.
on,
No,
hold
Mike.
on, hold on. What if he was? You know how we got Dom Toretto with him and his brother? What if he was Paul Walker's brother in the movie?
Oh, jeez.
No, Mike. No, there's too many actors.
No.
Everyone
out
in
of that.
Hollywood is in that movie now. It's just like a Lifetime Hollywood movie. It's like, hey, you're in a famous movie. Fucking go ahead.
Fast and the Furious is AEW, all right? That's basically
Yeah.
Dude, what's the one Fast and the Furious franchise that has like The Rock as like the main character?
Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah.
So I saw a trailer for that when it came out, and then I went to go watch it in the movie theater. And then like as it's playing out, I'm like, why is this movie like so focused on like cars and has like this weird stylized angles? And then like my partner leans over, is like, you know that this is like a Fast and the Furious franchise. And I'm like, what? Are you fucking serious?
The best part of that movie, and I don't remember the actor's name, but it was when they're fighting Hobbs and Shaw at the very end, he goes, "I'm Black Superman." Oh, no, that's the best line in the movie.
So, Scales brings up a point here. Mike, why are you trying to put two dead actors as brothers?
Yeah, I wasn't aiming for that. I was just saying that it for some reason I feel like that could have been a story they could have went with.
All right. Last question of the night to wrap this up off the top of my head. Pun intended.
Last question.
Where does Heath Ledger rank all time for you in the world of acting?
Like 1 out of 10?
Yeah, sure, we'll go with that.
Who goes first?
We'll give it to Mike since he wants to watch Fast and the Furious with Heath Ledger.
Oh, stop.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, with the very few movies that I've seen him in, I mean, he's never disappointed me. He never has. And I think if he was around to answer my own question, the question I asked earlier of would he make an impact in today's, film industry, I still think he would. I think we would have gotten not only movies that he would have acted great in, but I think he would have created movies that would have been just amazing because of the work that he's done in the movie.
Right. All right.
He's in my top 10. Like I don't know a certain place, but character acting, portrayal of characters, and just his mind for the business puts him in a top 10.
For me, I give him a top 5, and he's been one of my favorite actors for as long as I can remember. He's top 5 for me.
I don't know my opinion, but I honestly he was a good actor. I just feel like sadly because of what happened, we didn't get enough of him, so we didn't get to see Joker was great, Patriot was great, but my opinion, I put him top 15 of mine. Not up there. He's not up there, but he was considered good, but it's just not up there.
I'm gonna go top 10. Like I said, Knight's Tale is gonna exist in my top 10 forever, and it's just as a film that is central to that. There's also the part that it's if I just cue up that scene, it's so stupid to say this, but it's like that scene from Dark Knight where he puts the pencil on the table and he says, "I'll show you a magic trick," and then he just grabs the guy and he shoves that thing right into his head, and he says, "Look, it's gone." And you're just like, no matter, I could have a terrible day, I will go watch that scene, and the amount of terrible violence portrayed in that moment makes me, for some reason, feel more relaxed. I don't understand why, but we're not going to read into my problems. We're going to
You're psychotic. It's fine.
It's fine.
Thank you.
We're all a little crazy.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been an episode of Career Retrospective. Today's episode was Heath Ledger. Thank you to Mike for being our gracious narrator, because I struggle to speak reading text. So with that being said, Mike, where can people find you, sir?
You can find me at Metal Mike 714 all across the socials: X, Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram. As far as on the networks here, you can find me every Monday night after Monday Night Raw on the Table Spot with Sean and Cam. You can find me on Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. with John on Rivet City Red Zone, and then my 15-minute little spin-off show, Rivet City Red Zone's Halftime Heat, gets dropped every Wednesday morning. You can also catch me on Movie Madness every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Prince, and you catch me on the Boom with Phil and Cam every Wednesday night after AEW Dynamite.
Sweet. Mr. Jaxbo, where can we find you, sir?
You can find me here on Mondays for Sorry for the Interruption, Tuesdays for NXT on Tap, Sundays on Rivet City Radio for Botch Spots and Chair Shots. Anything else you'd like to know about me, follow me on Twitter at Jaxpo2020.
Mr. Treyway.
Well, he pretty much said it. Find me on TikTok, the Treyway 92, where I don't break chairs at all.
All right. And Mr. Rusty Blackwell, thank you once again for joining us. And thank you to Northland Wrestling for allowing us to take you off their hands for a few hours. But where can people find you, sir?
I mean, you can look up Northland Wrestling on Facebook. We actually got a show in North Bay this Saturday, January 20th. But, you know, I've been branching out and working with some other companies as well lately. I just finished a tour wrestling with Canadian Wrestling Elite and did 9 matches in 6 days in 6 towns, which was a lot. And I will say I had a lot of fun and I love doing it. But I also, my van, it seized about 2,000 kilometers into the trip, and the engine's gone, and I'm like, now I'm down to 1 vehicle, so I might be touring a little less until that gets fixed. But anyway, so if you could find me hitchhiking on the side of the road, please, you know, give a wrestler a hand. That's where you can find me.
Make sure he doesn't have a pencil.
Right. That show that Rusty is speaking about this weekend, I believe it is Rumble in the North. This card is looking stacked. Make sure if you get any way to watch it, go and watch it. There's a lot of young talent coming. There's a lot of great talent already established, and it's just an all-around great family experience. So make sure you check out Northland Wrestling. Myself, Shadow, you can find me here every Sunday, Jax. Sorry for the interruption.
Oh, Sundays, that's right. I forgot we moved it to Sunday.
Where we don't give a shit about interrupting your church day. You can find me throughout the weekend with Ringside Chatter as we talk all things NHL related. You can find me on TikTok if you give a shit about my content, I guess, at that guy Shadow.91. For everything else, you could find us on TikTok at Off the Top Media. You can find us on Twitch at Off the Top Media. Find us on YouTube at Off the Top Media. I want to give a special thanks to Burning Bridges for allowing us to use their music for our streams. I also want to thank Northland Wrestling for allowing us to bring in their superstars, Rusty and others. It's a great experience, and we love having them on. And with that being said, this has been another episode of Career Retrospective. We'll see you in the next one.